So you want to talk about playoff hockey today, which I like.
Yeah, playoff hockey, kinda.
Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
the reason that it came up is because a lot of youth hockey is finishing hockey or their last weekend. The OHL Cup was just here. The NC there's a Frozen Four.
Yeah, Telus Cup is here.
Yeah, the Frozen Four
Going on.
is now the OHL playoffs have started, and also because you and I and people we talk about all the time when we watch games, and we'll say, "Man, this player is good. This player is good," and then you know, then the conversation turns to but I don't know if this person's a playoff player or this player. You'll
Yeah.
see this guy ramp it up in playoffs and stuff like that. So that's what the kind of what I wanted to talk about today was um, playoff players, or so I'm talking like junior and up.
Mhm.
So I'm going to reference mostly OHL, NHL, college, but I want to also keep it as instead if you're not at that level, you can use it as maybe tournaments or playoff hockey and youth hockey. How not everyone plays
Mhm.
a series, but it's still elimination. So it's similar in that sense. So it's rising to the occasion and those types of things. Yeah.
Great. Great
Okay.
topic. I was fired up when you said that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I love it. Like because it's really neat, man. Like you watch games and then you wonder like you'll see in playoffs like if you watch the National Hockey League how there's like a lot of times there's unsung heroes or there's someone that you didn't really see during the regular season even though you've watched, let's say you're watching whatever team it is your favorite team or that's the team you see the most, and it's like you think, oh, it's yeah, I think I know that guy, and then all of a sudden the playoffs he emerges as like, man, is that a good player, or man, is he getting people's faces, and that's what I mean by a playoff player. Some guys rise to the occasions and some guys don't, and for different reasons, right? So, what's the difference in playoff hockey compared to just regular season hockey? Because hockey's an intense game at most most of the times. So just a couple things I wrote down is like it's more intense. Obviously, it's more intense and everything gets ramped up. So just look at the OHL playoffs, right? You're looking at full buildings now. Well, a lot of buildings were full, but now it's like they're jam packed. And if you look at youth hockey, when the playoffs come and the series get deeper and deeper, even in youth hockey, you start seeing the arenas a little bit more full and it's a little bit more energy because there's more at stake, right? So the energy is ramped up. The rinks are full. The music, the production a little bit more is to get the fans going, to get the kids going, the players going. So it's like there's a whole different energy, new logos, like all kinds of stuff. The marketing, everything's like ramped up. All you hear is playoffs, playoffs, playoffs. Like it's like the major marketing, right? Um, but like the big thing is it's elimination time. So what happens is you're playing for your life. So that could be through a series or a round robin thing in youth hockey or tournaments, but it's elimination time. So it changes the stakes of that game. Whereas like November 13th or January 12th might not be seem as critical, even though it's the 2 points. So it's like you win, lose, you got another one tomorrow. Um, the other thing is you're facing the same team, not just like one thing that I noticed is you'll see the hatred start, right? Because you're facing the same team over and over. So you might watch, going to my point earlier, you might watch a team that you've played maybe 3-4 times during the season, and you notice guys, but all of a sudden when you get in a series and it's game 2, game 3, and you start like really disliking someone, you go, oh, you got to keep your head up with this guy. Like some things start to emerge that you didn't really see in a one game regular schedule, right? So you start seeing that hatred and that intensity ramp up. You see that one guy that you start to hate or notice because he's like gets in your face and he rises to the occasion in those situations. It usually gets a heck of a lot rougher. And why is that? Because I've been playing you for, 67 shifts in a row for the last 5 days, three every second night for the last 5 days, and I don't like you anymore, Eric. So every time we get in a battle, it's like I want to beat you. And this is what I talk about all the time is like facing that guy over and over. It's the battle of wills. I mean, there's still the skills, but it's the battle of wills that are very, very important because the second I start easing off on you, then you start owning me, right? So the other thing is there's tighter checking usually. So one of the major differences in regular season, because we talked about a few players uh, that were having exceptional years in the OHL, right? And and you know, the narrative is like, yeah, but when things kind of tighten up, you know, like there's a couple of the teams that play like a very offensive, like getting the puck and some of their top players just go. And, you know, on the transition, you start seeing these guys and they're potting all kinds of goals and assists and high scoring games. And you sit there and you go, wow, they're having a great year. And then the playoffs come and then you go, where did he go? Where did he go? Well, the difference now is that the checking, if you're not playing good defense, it's really hard to have a good game. But you're more aware because I know that if you're one of the best players on that team, and I'm a defenseman, let's say, and let's say you've got 40, 50 goals. Now, if I'm not aware of you, I lose this series. So now I'm on you like white on rice, right? So now like I don't let you breathe. So now the games get tighter. So it's like that intensity too. So you might see guys that are point guys that they're not getting the same amount of points. Defending harder, start hating each other. Top guys play more. That's the other thing is top guys play a lot more. So you might see them getting worn out, right? So it's a different atmosphere, and there's just a lot of pressure, man. It's like if you don't know how to handle the pressure, then it becomes that much harder, right? And some guys think too much. So now you get in a playoff series. Okay, this is like the mental toughness thing. You get in a playoff series, like what happens, right? So like, look at junior hockey and below. What do kids do before the playoffs? They all get something done, and it's usually a haircut. They all get same haircuts. So you already set your mind like this is big. You start talking about it. You start hating the team. You're talking and talking and talking. And when I talk about mental toughness is you make things, of course you're making it big, especially as kids. But what happens is a lot of times people take it and they make it bigger than what it is. And then mom and dad are talking about it. It's like, you got to get ready. And like, there's even maybe different vocabulary in the house and in the dressing room. And it's not your normal routine because you're thinking, okay, we got to get jacked for this. And the music's different. Like everything changes, right? So, and then again, so that could lead to getting in their own heads. And right. And so the guy that has good mental toughness can just own the moment and stay in the moment and just do the job because nothing really changes as far as it's just another hockey game and you got to perform. And then it's again, if you're facing the same guys over and over and over and over and over and over again, night after night, shift after shift. So that's like, to me, the difference in playoff hockey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had all of that. Obviously, I agree with, and then just a couple. Got a couple to add here that are kind of the same thing that you're saying, maybe a little different way of thinking about it, but the overarching theme of it is just things feel like they start to matter more. And one of the analogies that I just kind of thought of as you were talking is if for people that have been through university, or whatever, because not everybody's played hockey. You play when you're going through university. It's like during the school year, it's like things matter, right? Like you study and you do your thing. You go to your classes, you do your preparation, right? And that would be akin to your regular season where you do your practices, you have your games, and it's not that it doesn't matter, but then it's almost time for exams. And now it's like studying really matters. So now people are like, okay, I got to prepare for my exams. I got to, study a little bit longer, a little bit harder. I'm going to stay up a little bit later to make sure that I'm ready to perform on this exam day, and it's kind of the same feeling when you get into playoffs. It goes from that regular season where things matter to like flip the script. Now things legit matter. There's a consequence to losing now, and that's kind of how it feels like on a exam, whatever. If you fail this exam, this actually matters if you fail. So it's a little bit of an analogy on that.
It's not
but
2 points. It's now, you're done.
You're done for the year.
Yeah.
Like you go home, So I think the biggest thing that makes it different is that teams and individuals have time to prepare for your specific style now. So just because Windsor's down the street here, if I'm playing against the Windsor Spitfires and we know like one of the top offensive teams in the league, but maybe they lack a little bit of the gritty kind of game. It's like, okay, so now they're playing Kitchener first round, and Kitchener's been doing this to them first round. I saw the game on Saturday, and they're not allowing the offensive run and gun game. And I can guarantee you that in the week of practices leading up to game one, that's what they prepared for. They watched their film, they keyed in on their key guys, and they said they like to play like this, and we don't play the way they like to play, and they'll have a hard time. And that's what has happened. They're playing them hard. They're getting in their grill. They're chirping their top guys. They're getting them off their game, and they're up 3-0 now in that series on Windsor. right? And that's what teams do. So they lock in on certain specifics about the team they're playing. Whereas during the season, you have one practice and one pregame meeting about the team, and then you move
Yeah.
on to the next team the next
Yeah.
day.
Well,
And
you might be playing on day 3 of day 3 of a
exactly.
3-3, or day 2 of 3-3. So it's not
Yeah.
your primary
So
focus.
I think because of that level of preparation, it leads into all the things you're talking about: the tighter checking, the harder defense, the specific things to get under this team's skin. All that happens, I think, because of the extra preparation. And then the other thing you said, how the bench shortened, so the top guys are going all the time now. So instead of seeing the fourth line for 10 shifts, you see them for 3. So it's just the quality is higher. And then you also have the mental thing you touched on a little bit, but you also have the physical, where it's like now you're playing games on days you don't normally play. So your routines are a little bit messed up. Physically, you're getting beat down. Little injuries, things that start to nag. I was just talking to a player last night. He called me and was saying, hey, because he hasn't been in a long playoff stretch before. And in preparing for that, he was kind of saying, how do I keep my legs? I just feel like I'm starting to be gassed. And it's the thing that nobody really thinks about during the season, because you play mostly on the weekends. You have the rest of the week to kind of recoup, except for the odd time you play a Tuesday, Wednesday game or whatever. But I was saying all that stuff away from the game, away from the rink, matters even more now. All that stuff matters, and you're fighting a losing battle, because eventually, the body breaks, man. You're getting hammered that much every other day. It's like the body is going to break down, and it's managing that, right? Managing that part of it makes the playoffs really tough too.
Yeah, the overtimes aren't 5-minute overtimes.
Yeah, we're playing
3-on-3
20s,
where it's
right?
over in 5.
Yeah.
It could be 6 periods deep.
Yeah, so you're playing intense games every other day with all that tighter checking, tighter preparation, guys, and that because it's a 7-game series, or potentially 7 games, like you said, that hatred builds a little bit, where it's like, I'm just going to give you an extra stick now, where the first game we played, I didn't really, but I'm just going to give you that extra cross check. I'm just going to make sure I chirp you one extra time, or pull at you a little bit extra on this play now. And all those little things, they build, over that 7-game stretch. So to me, it's all that, and then plus those couple little things for the playoffs. It becomes a totally different animal, and you start to see who the playoff guys are. Who are the guys that can handle that? Because it all starts to manifest itself as pressure, like you said. It turns into, you can make it bigger than it is. A lot of kids do that. And maybe to go back to my exam analogy, I remember I've said this to you before, how the exam day, I would make it feel just like another day. Got up, go to the gym the same way I normally go to the gym, do all my preparation the same as I normally do it. And I think that's maybe a little jump in the gun, but helpful in managing that, and a way to mentally frame it is treat it as much the same as you can, even though it's fun to buy into the hype a little bit, right? Because you get excited.
It's the best, man.
You get your haircut, the boys are all buzzing. Everyone thinks they're going to win the championship, and they think, oh, we're a lower seed where we can beat the top seed guys. We can pull it out and whatever. So it's fun to buy into it, but when the puck drops, now it's it's a game. It's just another game, man. It doesn't have to be you're meeting the president of the United States or anything.